You're listening to Side Hustle Pro, the podcast that teaches you to build and grow your side hustle from passion project to profitable business. And I'm your host, Nicaila Matthews-Okome. So let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to today's episode. It's Nicaila here with another CoWork with Me episode. So today I'm just going to share what I'm working on this week and hopefully give you guys some encouragement. But can I just say that even starting this recording was a process. So I have this thing called a Focusrite that connects to the microphone, which I use now, which is this Shure SM7B, right? And then I have a MacBook Air, so I need to use one of these like connector dongle things that has the USB since they want to change up their ports, right? So I haven't had that plugged in for a few days because I was not using it. I wasn't recording anything. So I just went in and tried to set up all the tech behind the scenes to get ready for this recording. And I could not for the life of me hear any sound on this microphone. And good thing I did a sound check, which I don't usually do because I'm usually in a rush. But something told me in my gut, do a sound check, Nicaila. So I did a sound check, not a sound coming out of the mic, mute, just me just looking like I'm just talking in silence to y'all. So luckily, after some tinkering, I turned up the gain all the way. That might make sense to y'all if you use these kind of devices. And this is why I always recommend starting your podcast just with a microphone and a laptop and not getting into all this fancy equipment because I am not a recording studio tech, okay? I don't want to deal with this. But I got this microphone, so I want to use it. I want to get the bang for my buck. So I refuse to just move forward without figuring it out. But I finally did. And I'm so grateful. So just wanted to share that with you guys. So anywho, what I'm working on this week, in addition to recording an episode, let's talk about that though. So I've broken up my week into my 4 main priorities, which are my podcast, PodcastMoguls, merch, and then Nicaila TV. So in terms of the podcast, I am recording this week. I'm working on next week's episode and also doing some guest outreach to finalize the episodes for the remainder of this year and then kicking off January. And in order to do that, I kind of want to spend some time just kind of thinking through what themes I want to cover, what kind of entrepreneurs or side hustlers I want in the guest chair so that I can encourage others. I'm always trying to think about, what story needs to be told, what information needs to get out there, what resources do I want to connect you guys with. So I'm going to spend some time to think through that and really iron out what next year will look like because to be quite frank, I feel like the last 2 years, I haven't been able to map out the vision in the usual way that I would like because of all the unpredictability and because of the inability to have like a really strong and solid recording schedule. Look at my brain. That right there was a picture of my brain in action sometimes when I have so much going on and I'm just trying to manage and juggle all the balls. So yeah, it has been really hard to have my show be a reflection of the information and the knowledge that I want out in the world. I've done a few more rewinds than I would have loved to do, even though I love sharing those episodes because each and every time someone hears it for the first time and they're like amazed and they're so grateful for the information. So I love rewinds and I encourage my students to do rewinds. It's no different than your television show that, needs to take a break, take a hiatus. And instead of going dark, like, your favorite shows will go dark for sometimes over a year before they bring back a new season. I like to sprinkle in episodes that I feel the information is evergreen. I feel like the knowledge is important. So I do enjoy being able to get that information to people who have not heard it yet, or just remind you guys, if you haven't listened to the episode in a while. I also know that not everyone listens to every single episode. So sometimes it's your first time seeing that one. Sometimes people reach out to me and pitch people to be on the show. And I'm like, but they were episode blah, blah, blah. So that lets me know that I really need to reshare my episodes and do more of that. But I would have liked to interview different people that I didn't get a chance to do this year. So I'm looking forward to doing that and coordinating with their schedules by giving them more heads up. So a part of being able to interview people is being able to have a schedule that can work with an average person's schedule. Not everyone can fit into the small windows that I've had. So as my schedule frees up, so will the opportunities for me to chat with more dynamic side hustlers and entrepreneurs. So looking forward to that, working on that this week, and also working on show notes for this episode as well as upcoming episodes this month. And also working on some social media content. So right now I'm in between social media and content managers. So usually I hire out for that. And as I told you guys previously, hiring is a job and I haven't had the bandwidth quite yet to hire. But what this time is giving me an opportunity to do is to play around with different social media promo graphics, different social media promo styles, especially now that I've incorporated video content. It's me deciding, okay, do I place these videos on Reels? Do I place them directly in the Instagram feed? Do I place them here? Do I want to, do a carousel post on Instagram where I post several slides and the video is one of them? I'm toying around with all of them as I, like all of you, continue to study the algorithm as it changes. And you know that Instagram is one of my strongest platforms. So I do always invest in learning and growing with that platform. But I also share on the other social media platforms that Side Hustle Pro is on, such as Facebook, such as LinkedIn, such as Twitter, and exploring whether or not I want to be on other platforms such as TikTok and how to make TikTok organic for Side Hustle Pro, right? I don't just want to be sharing snippets of the episode, which is really not what TikTok is for. Even though I have done that as a test and some have performed really well. So we are figuring it out over here. But by the time I am ready to hire another social media manager and content manager, I will be able to share with them, here is the flow of promotion that I want you to work on. And then I'll be able to share those templates and really guide them through that. So this is a good transition point for me to take a break from hiring and then work on how I want my social done for Side Hustle Pro. So a friend of mine had reached out to me and they were like, are you doing your own social? And, how do you do it? Like, it just sounds just like you. And I'm like, well, actually I am. And most times, even when I do have a social media person, my Instagram is still mine. Like, I don't hand over the keys to that. What I do is connect that person as an admin so now Facebook and Instagram have the creator studio where, if you have business accounts or creator accounts on Instagram and Facebook, then you're able to see both of them and you're able to schedule it out. So prior to using the Creator Studio, which I just started using, honestly, I used to use a platform called Buffer. So with Buffer, I could just, connect my social person to the Side Hustle Pro social media accounts via Buffer. And they would just log into Buffer and be able to schedule out promotional content. Because right now, that's really what I utilize a social media person for. It's to post content related to the show. So my accounts still remain mine, meaning I have the logins. I'm able to go in and engage with people. All of that I'm going to do. I'm not comfortable with handing that all the way over because I still enjoy talking to people. So when you're DMing me and you're talking to me, Nikayla, not somebody else. So that's how social works for me. And if anyone else is trying to figure out how should I manage my business, I think that, definitely utilize these third-party platforms. And this is going to make sense to you if you have a Facebook or Instagram business account. So it's really weird, but Instagram business accounts and Facebook business accounts, they connect easily to these third-party platforms like your Buffers, your Planoly, that's another one later. But if you want to actually post, if you want your post to go live without you having to go in and select publish, then you need to have a business account. If you have a creator account, which is what I have now, and these are just, drop down selections. So creator accounts are more for people who are making creative type of content on Instagram and Facebook. So you're using Reels and you're using music and you're doing different things. Whereas business accounts, I used to be able to do that as well on my business accounts, but I found some limitations with it. So I switched over to creator accounts. And for some reason, those third-party platforms like Buffer do not have permission to have your post go live. You get a notification and then you have to physically go in and select publish. And that defeats the purpose of scheduling. So I've now moved over to Facebook and Instagram Creator Studio. So that is something to note when you are selecting what kind of account you want. And I will say that with a creator account, I've also found that I have access to a better music library. So with business account, it was really limited as far as royalties and rights with the music. It was very generic music. But when I switched over both of my accounts, both Side Hustle Pro and Nikayla TV, that is when I got music permission. So just a small tangent to let y'all know when it comes to creation of social media, what I've learned, what's going on, and how I'm approaching it. So now let's talk about what else I'm working on. Merch. I touched on that a little bit last episode. So if you're watching a YouTube video, you'll see that gold mug I was talking about. I really did need to take a sip of tea because my voice was getting a little dry, but you get to see it because I drink out of this every single day and people are asking me for it, and it's coming, you guys. So what I worked on with the merch partner that I'm working with right now. And you've seen me tag them on Instagram. It's Merch Studio. They did all the merch for the Side Hustle Pro live show in DC back in 2019. So we are finalizing my Shopify site. There are some changes that need to be done. And you guys, oh my goodness, there's just so much with any new endeavor. There are things that you don't expect or things that, rounds of reviews that need to go through. So that's something to build into your time frame for any launch, especially when it comes to merch. So we've just gone through a round of edits for the Shopify site, finalizing descriptions and things like that. And these are all things that are important, but they take up time when you just want to go. You just want to go out there. And I would just go out there, but I feel that if I'm going to do it at this point, I might as well, not go out there without reviewing and spell checking, right? Like it's no sense in launching and have everything be a mess at this point because I've been talking about it for so long. So we're close. We're finalizing things like that, finalizing the product mix, prices, and also we did a warehouse inventory check so that we can avoid as much as possible stock issues. Now, for this first run, I will determine how often I'll release new products, whether that's quarterly or what have you. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I will keep everything in stock all the time or do certain, kind of like what Zakia Blaine of FBF Body talks about when she was here, like have certain releases. So still working through that and just making sure for this release that I know, okay, how many am I bringing to market? How much inventory do we have? And then if we sell out, because all of this involves a projection of how many you think you need. And if we sell out, how fast would it take to get more? So it's all a work in progress, you guys. I did not go to e-commerce school. I've had many fly entrepreneurs on here who have become really, really strong e-commerce experts. And that's why I have them on the show to learn. You always knew that was my hack in life, like bringing people on the show to learn from. I'm learning just like you're learning. But as everyone always says, you don't really learn until you do it. So I can get as much advice as possible from Kim, from Curl Mix, from Myleek, from Curlbox, from Zakia, from FBF Body, from Angel, who I featured last week, from the Spice Suite. But at the end of the day, Nikayla has to go out there and test things out. And speaking of testing things out, I don't think I'm going to launch with the notebook that I've shown you guys. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll get a sneak peek of it. And you've seen a sneak peek of it before. It is this gold notebook. It has more pages, but I've been using them like crazy. And sometimes I take out pages. But anywho, I'm still working on the interior of that. So I don't think that'll be in this first release. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. But that's a part of learning and figuring out, okay, what do people want? At the end of the day, one thing I've heard over and over again is to not go out with too many SKUs, aka too many products. So that has been repeated so many times till people are blue in the face. So as much as I want to launch winter gear, zip ups, this, notebooks, planners, all of this, I am going to keep it to a small number as much as possible, a small variety as much as possible. I really should just be releasing one thing, but there's a mixture between what you hear, what you learn, and what you want to test for yourself. So I'm launching with more than one, but not like 100. So I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes. But yeah, it's a lot of work behind the scenes, a lot of work. And I think much kudos to my merch partner because they're doing the bulk of it and, they'll be handling fulfillment. And I'm really, really, really grateful for that. And don't y'all try to steal them either. Okay. I got them first and don't you make them too busy. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to stop sharing my plugs. All right. So guys, picture your business on TV next to your customers' favorite shows. I used to think that this wasn't an option, but I just found out about a really effective tool that is affordable and accessible to side hustlers at all levels. It's called the Spectrum Reach Ad Portal. It is a self-service tool and it is so user-friendly, especially if you're already using digital and social media ads. If you can put up an ad on social media, you can use this portal. Your first step is to visit go2.spectrumreach.com/hustlepro, and that's go and the number 2. Then, once you register and log in to the Spectrum Reach ad portal, you can start building your TV campaign right away. You can select your goal and refine your geography so that you're only marketing to the areas where your customers are. Plus, you define your budget. I've always thought that TV was going to be really expensive, and I know that some of you might be thinking the same thing too. But with the Spectrum Reach ad portal, you are able to see suggestions of budget and then determine a budget that works for your business. There's also a customer success team available right in the portal to help you if you come across any questions, and you can even connect with a local expert. So in sum, you guys, Spectrum Reach has made TV advertising super simple and affordable. Do not miss out on this opportunity. Visit go2.spectrumreach.com/hustlepro to start building your TV campaign online. Oh, and you might be saying, Nikayla, how am I going to create a commercial? Listen, our friends at Spectrum Reach have already thought about that. As a special offer for Side Hustle Pro listeners, Spectrum Reach is offering production of a free 30-second video for your business. Spectrum has a partnership with Waymark, that's spelled Waymark, where you can create beautiful, professional, top-tier commercials using templates and your own logo and creative. Just go to waymark.com/spectrumreach and enter code HustlePro. Again, that's waymark.com/spectrumreach to use offer code HustlePro at checkout to claim production of a free 30-second video. Just click the coupon link at the top right and it's 100% free. And guys, I'll have links to both the Spectrum Reach ad portal and Waymark in the show notes for you. So enjoy. Now, let's talk about Podcast Moguls. Podcast Moguls, for those who don't know by now, is my podcast accelerator coaching program for aspiring podcasters or podcasters who have already launched but really need that information about how to build a profitable podcast. So you can learn more about that at podcastmoguls.com/join. So I'm currently working with the October cohort, and a few things I'm working on behind the scenes are revamping the welcome sequence of students as they come into the program, as they learn, and then also figuring and deciding on what's a new student orientation could look like. Is this something that will be led by me, led by a team member? What will it entail? Especially because I encourage people from all levels to come into the program. And a new student orientation, especially ones that I have really enjoyed from programs that I am in, are things that just really walk you through the lay of the land. It's not that I would be going really deep into any particular lesson at that time, because the lessons within the actual course exist for a reason. However, a new student orientation, I find when I have taken courses, is really good at keeping your momentum going after you've purchased a course, giving you kind of that stabilizing force, which is like, okay, you can do it. Here's how. Let's start here. Answer any early questions, and also continue to forge that connection, which is why, I probably will be the one doing it. But I haven't so far had that new student orientation. It's usually our first coaching call is the first meeting of the new cohorts. So still working that out. I think a program like this is one that you continue to tweak no matter how long it's been around. It's something that can always be improved upon, always evolve. So I'm looking forward to more changes and upgrades that are coming in 2022. And like I've shared with everyone who joined in this recent cohort, the October cohort, I am now a video podcaster. So clearly, as I'm learning and growing, these are insights that I'm excited to share with my Podcast Mogul students, excited to share that bridge of, how do you have a successful podcast on the listening apps, but then also carry that over to YouTube. And with YouTube, there's so much more that YouTube does for you other than just, having listens there. So of course, there are people who YouTube is their preferred platform to listen and to get knowledge. So you're not only now appealing to those people and giving them that opportunity to listen on YouTube, but then also YouTube is a search engine. YouTube is allowing people to come across your information that never came across it before. And we also talked about the fact that with YouTube, they serve up your contents. On these listening apps like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you might go in and you'll see the podcast that they want to feature. But as far as the algorithm that they've created, serving up suggested recommendations for you on a consistent basis, that's something that no one does as well as Google as it relates to, content suggestions. So you do get content suggestions. Like if someone subscribes or searches for Side Hustle Pro, other podcasts will come up. Or, if you search for something else, a bunch of podcasts will come up that are in the similar vein. You hope. But on a consistent basis, like if I go into my Apple Podcast app right now, right, and I go to browse, they are showing me subscriber favorites. They're showing me leisure vibes, new and noteworthy. They're not serving me content based on the shows that I'm already subscribed to. So you have an advantage when you have your show on YouTube, because now people who never knew about you, never listened to your show, because they listen to a similar type of show, are now being shown your content. And so you get to kind of piggyback and you get to benefit from the audience and the views of another show, because your content is going to be suggested because it's similar. And people who listen to this show also listen to that show, is that benefit of the algorithm. So I'll be sharing even more of that within Podcast Moguls, and I'm actually fleshing that out right now. What I hope to do is every week kind of work on upgrading every single lesson. And I want to do that because 2022 is not 2021. And so as much as possible, I always like to go in and tweak. And I'm not changing the course. Let's be clear. I'm adding. So as new things come out, like for example, Apple added subscriptions this year. So as new things come out, I add in insights, I add in my thoughts on them. And not every single thing that has come out, but as I'm getting ready to do some upgrades, those are the kind of upgrades that I focus on, not like re-recording and completely changing the course, because the content, the core content is still amazingly helpful. It's still very, very solid. And it's something that people are learning from and benefiting from every single day. And you can hear more about, how the students inside of Podcast Moguls learn and what they have learned in my most recent episode with Tolu Garcia of the UI Narrative podcast. So she shared more about that. And by the way, if you guys like those episodes, let me know and I'll interview some more Podcast Mogul students. I'll have some more student spotlights, but that is what's going on this week, specifically just focusing on the welcome sequence. So just to be clear, you guys know that for podcasting, I'm working on recording, show notes, guest outreach and organizing. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention, brand partnerships. So this falls under the podcasting umbrella. So you guys know I have sponsors for this podcast. Some of those sponsorships, they are for the podcast. And then I also share those messages on Instagram or in my email. And so every day I am working administratively on some of the needs of those different brand partnerships, whether that's sending over a contract or an invoice or sharing more insights on how something performed or planning for 2022. That's what I'm doing now. We're planning campaigns for 2022 or finishing out Q4. And that requires a whole different part of my brain. And I'm really excited actually about brand partnerships and expanding that element of my brand. So recently, I decided that I will definitely be upgrading how I approach brand sponsorships. Case in point, I used to take those photos myself. I would just try to find the best lighting. And, iPhone does have an amazing camera. So I would try to find the best lighting and, use my tripod and take most of my brand campaign photos myself. But I was finding some limitations with lighting. Some days you don't get to shoot when the best lighting is out, or some days you want to go to a different location to shoot and you're like, if I'm going to do all that, do I want to bring a tripod and shoot myself, or do I want to hire a photographer? So for one of my most recent campaigns with the awesome folks at Yahoo Small Business for their Local Works service. And by the way, if you don't know about Local Works, you need to know about Local Works. It is essentially making sure that anytime someone searches for your business, they're getting the most up-to-date info so you can control how your business appears online across all the different search engine platforms and all the different directories. So I will link to information to get a free report and see how your business is doing in today's show notes. So make sure you're doing that. But for this most recent campaign, I was like, you know what? I'm stepping it up. When Dana Bolden was in the guest chair, one thing she mentioned is when you are creating brand campaigns, you need to think to yourself, like, if I want to track more of this, is this something I would pay myself for? Am I doing this at a level that I would hire myself? And yes, I was, but I also knew that I wanted to over deliver. I didn't just want to deliver anymore. I wanted to over deliver. So I decided that I'm going to start as much as possible, as much as timing and scheduling works out, have an actual professional photographer shoot my brand campaigns. So last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, I, at the last minute, had this epiphany and decided I'm going to do this. So I'd been in talks with this photographer who actually Dana recommended, Vernon Davis. If you're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, she, highly recommended him. And so we had been in talks about shooting regularly, but it had kind of fallen off because, life. But then I said, oh, wait a second, maybe I could shoot this campaign with Vernon. So I reached out to him literally the night before. I'm having this epiphany at 8:00 at night, after me and Moyo do our switch of the shifts and I can have time to have focused thought again, right? So I'm having this epiphany and I realized that, oh my goodness, I need this shot today. This was Monday night and the campaign was set to go live on Wednesday night. And what I was doing, I was sending over the drafts of the Instagram post to the team. And that is when I said, oh my goodness, I need to reach out to Vernon. So I did that. And do you know that he was able to fit me in? He was like, I have 30 minutes tomorrow morning. Can we make that work? Oh, and one thing I should mention is I had already been kind of scouring Instagram looking for location. I'd been location spotting because I thought maybe I'll just go over there with my tripod. And that's when I was like, if I'm going to go all the way over there, what if these shots are whack? Let me get a real photographer. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, I want to shoot here. I have these shots in mind that I need. Do you have any availability? And he said, I have 30 minutes. And I was like, that's all I need. So we met the next morning, knocked it out. He's so professional. He was able to get me back the final images, once I paid, of course. He was able to get me back the final images that night. And I was able to go ahead and post the first post that Wednesday. So we're going to be continuing to work together, obviously, but it just goes to show that when I don't know what it goes to show. I cracked myself up. But the point of this story was that brand partnerships is something that is in my workflow this week. I'm continuing to work on this current campaign and also brainstorming for future campaigns. So that is now an element that falls under the podcast umbrella. When I add it to my week, that is what I'm doing. And of course, with brand partnerships comes things like invoicing, like I said, and the admin stuff. And that just involves, making sure you're in that inbox, checking your inbox and all that good stuff. So the final thing is Nikayla TV. I have almost solidified a vlogging schedule. And you know what? When I say vlogging, of course, I mean YouTube filming. That's what I mean, because I don't plan to just do vlogs. I will incorporate some more videos where you're learning something, so it could be things about side hustling or business. It could be about entrepreneurship. It could even be, I'm not eliminating hair content completely. I just didn't want my channel to only be focused on that. So it could be things like, hey, like when I do these videos, people still ask me what hair I'm wearing. And that is a part of my life, like choosing really convenient wigs to put on my hair. Why did I stutter when I said that? I'm ashamed. But that is part of my life and my workflow, like finding really convenient things to do with my hair so that doesn't take me a lot of time. Because like for today, me and Moyo, he had a break and had a window in his day. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to record at 2. And so, I just quickly went to the bathroom and freshened up a bit and, slapped on the hair, slapped on the headband, did a little doop doop on the face, and we're good to go. So let me know if you're still interested in that. I believe you guys are, but, do a little confirmation by going on YouTube and writing that in the comments of this video. But I am still finalizing my filming schedule, and I think it will be probably Fridays. It's hard because Fridays now has a lot packed into it. Fridays are for my interviews with guests. Fridays are some of my me time. So things like when I schedule mani-pedis or eyebrows, things like that, it's usually Fridays. So just figuring and working around that. And sometimes I don't get enough content on Friday, so I have to do like over the weekend. That's if I'm doing like a vlog. And overall, I think I just need to get over myself. I need to get over myself. It is something that we talked about during the boot camp, and we're going to continue to talk about it because it's a real hurdle, which is, I think I just put too much pressure on it. I think I put too much pressure on the creation of the videos when you guys just want to get to know me and just get a glimpse into my life or something new that I have to share that I think is helpful. And I enjoy it from other people. I don't expect the things from them that I'm expecting from myself. So why do I do that? These are conversations that I have to have with myself to remind myself, like, you're taking yourself too seriously. You're putting too much pressure on it. You're taking it too seriously overall, and just get over yourself, girl, and just do it. So with that, I again have to remind myself that, hey, the goal here was consistency. Every video is not going to be boom, bam, like world premiere, Netflix quality, but it's okay because what I've set out to do is consistently produce content on my YouTube channel for a year. Now, for this week, because I was in my head, I did not send it over to the editor when I should have. And so now I probably won't get it out on Sunday, but that's okay. That's okay because progress, not perfection, you guys. If I could leave you with anything in this co-working chat, it is progress, not perfection. So that's my goal for myself. I hope that you have the same goal for yourself. I hope that while we've been chatting, you've been thinking through some of your workflows and some of the things that you have to work on this week and next. And I hope it gave you some encouragement. And with that, I will talk to you next week. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for listening to Side Hustle Pro. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other side hustlers just like you to find the show. And if you want to hear more from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Side Hustle Pro. Plus, sign up for my 6 Bullet Saturday newsletter at sidehustlepro.co/newsletter. When you sign up, you will receive weekly nuggets from me, including what I'm up to, personal lessons, and my business tip of the week. Again, that's sidehustlepro.co/newsletter to sign up. Talk to you soon.